Okay, hello everybody. Today we're going to do unit 4.2. 4.2, reflections on a coordinate plane. Okay, so let's start off with some vocabulary. Up at the top, it says right here, reflections in the x-axis. When you are doing a reflection in the x-axis, the x stays the same and the y becomes the opposite. So for example, if you have 1, -3, this is x, this is y, and you're doing a reflection, you're plotting the points, the 1 would stay the same, and then you would plot the opposite of the y, so it would become +3. So the x stays the same, the y becomes the opposite. Okay, and that's when you're going over the x-axis, the horizontal line. Okay, if you have reflections in the y-axis, the y stays the same and the x becomes the opposite. So again, the first number is always the x, the second number is always the y. So in this case, if we're reflecting over the y-axis, the vertical up and down line, the x would become the opposite. So 1 would become -1, and the y would stay the same. So -3 stays -3. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's practice reflecting some points over the x-axis. So first thing I want to do is, let's see if I can I make this highlighter any narrower? There we go. There we go. Let's make it a little narrower here. Okay, so I want to highlight the x-axis for you. This is your x-axis right here. Okay? All right, x-axis. All right, and it also is labeled right here, x. All right, so we're going to reflect points in the x-axis. So the first one is A. It's 2, -3. So I'm going to go over, starting in my origin, 0, 0. I'm going to go over 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to go down -3. 1, 2, 3. I go down because it's negative. I'm going to plot my point right there. Okay, and when I plot my point, I'm going to call it A. All right, and now I'm going to reflect it over the x-axis. So that means I'm going from quadrant 4 up over the x-axis into quadrant 1. So if I'm reflecting over that x-axis, I look up at the top, the x is going to stay the same, so 2 stays the same. The y becomes the opposite. So instead of being -3, it's +3. And now I plot it. Start at the origin, 1, 2, and now I go up 3, 1, 2, 3. It would be right there, and I call that A prime. I put a little symbol right there. That means A prime. It's the opposite of the other A. It's the reflection of the other A. If I folded the paper on the yellow line, they would touch each other. They would match perfectly. That's a reflection. Okay, let's do the next one. B, -4, -6. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to the left because it's negative, and now I'm going to go down 6 because it's negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is B. Okay, so now I'm going to reflect up over the x, the yellow line. When I reflect over the x stays the same, so it's going to stay -4. The y changes, so it's going to become +6. So I'm going to go back -4, but this time I'm going up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when I plot that, it's B prime. Okay? All right. C, 3, 5. Okay? So I'm going to the right, positive 3. Start at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is C. Okay? Now I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to do the reflection, rather. Okay, so make my parentheses. I'm going over the yellow line, so that X is going to stay the same. 3 stays the same. Positive 5 becomes negative 5. So I go back over 3, only this time I'm going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plot my point right there. I've got C prime. Okay, the opposite of C is C prime. Again, if I folded on the yellow line, they'd match up perfectly. Let's do the same thing with D. Negative 2 is the first point, so I'm going to the left. 1, 2. And then 6 is the Y, so I'm going up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and that's D. And now I'm going to do the opposite, so I keep it negative 2. And I make the Y the opposite of 6, which is negative 6. So I'm going negative 2 to the left, 1, 2, and I'm going down 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is D prime. Okay, and lastly, I've got negative 5, negative 2. Over here to negative 5, down to negative 2, that's E. And then I'm going to do the opposite, so I keep the X the same. I make the Y the opposite, so negative 2 becomes 2. I'm going to go over to negative 5, up to 2, and I have E prime. Okay? And that's reflecting over the X-axis. So reflecting over the Y-axis is exactly the same, only the only difference is, let's get that yellow highlighter back. I'm going to be reflecting over this vertical Y-axis instead. Y-axis, right there. Okay, so the first point I'm going to plot is 2, negative 3. 1, 2, and then down 3. 1, 2, 3, and that's A. So now I'm going over the Y-axis. So, since I'm going over the Y-axis, I'm going to make the X the opposite. So it's going to be negative 2, and I keep the Y the same, so it stays negative 3. So now I'm going to go 1, 2 to the left, 1, 2, 3 down, and I have A prime. So you can see how I went over the yellow line, over the Y-axis. I didn't go up into quadrant 1. I went from quadrant 4 to quadrant 3. Okay, B, negative 4, negative 6. Here's negative 4. Now I go down to negative 6. I'm going to plot that point right there. I'm going to call it B. And now I'm going over the yellow line. So I'm going from quadrant 3 over to quadrant 4. So I'm going over the Y-axis, so my X is going to change and become positive 4. My Y stays the same. So the one you go over stays the same. So it stays negative 6. So now I'm going to go positive 4 down to negative 6, and I've got B prime. Okay? All right, 3, 5. 3, 5 is right up here. That's letter C. I need to go over the Y-axis, so I'm going to go negative 3, positive 5. I'm going from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2. 1, 2, 3, up to 5. I'll be right here with my C prime. Okay? And then I've got D, negative 2, positive 6. Negative 2, positive 6 is up here. That's D. And now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going over the Y. So when I go over the Y is what's going to stay the same. The X is what's going to change. It's going to become positive. So this time I go 2, 6. And I end up here with D prime. E, -5, -2 puts me right here. E. Oh, somehow this moved over here. I don't know what I did there. Okay, all right, -5, -2, I just plotted it. It's the E right here. Okay, so now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going over the Y, so I'm going from quadrant 3 over to quadrant 4. So I'm going to keep my Y the same since I'm going over the Y, and the X is going to change and become positive Y. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down -2. I end up right here, E prime. And that is how you make reflections